All right, so here's my gas question. We have a sample of krypton gas occupies 75.0 milliliters at 0.400 atmospheres. If the temperature remains constant, what volume would krypton occupy at 1.00 atmospheres? Again, it's a word problem, so we have to break it down by reading it left to right. Sample of krypton gas. Well, it is important that we know it's krypton, but I'm not going to be using the identity of the chemical in this week's unit. So you can keep going by. Gas, again, is important, okay? But we don't need it for doing the math for this week. So I'm going to keep going by. Occupies 75.0 milliliters. 75.0 milliliters. I know that's important. How is that important? Milliliters. Oh, that's a volume. So that's my volume at the start, or volume 1, my first volume. And at that first volume, it's 0.400 atmospheres. So I know that number is important. And then I have to remember that atmospheres is equal to pressure. So that's my first pressure. What volume? Oh, well, that's my unknown. Volume 2, because that's the unknown. That's what I'm looking for, the ending volume. Would krypton occupy at 1 atmosphere? So its pressure 2 is equal to 1.00 atmospheres. Okay, these guys match, so that's good. This guy's in milliliters, so I know my answer is going to be in milliliters because they have to match. And then I have to draw my little triangle here. Pressure, volume, and temperature. Okay, so what am I working with? Pressure and volume, pressure and volume. Okay, there's no temperature. It talks about that temperature is constant, but he didn't give me a number, so I can ignore him. So my equation is going to be P1 V1 equals P2 V2. So now I can substitute. P1, 0.44 atmospheres. 0.400 atmospheres. V1, 75.0 milliliters equals P2, 1.00 atmospheres. V2, I'm just going to leave it as V2. Let me combine some terms there. So 0.4 times 75 is 30. 30 atmosphere milliliters equals 1.00 atmosphere V2. Now, V2 I want to get by itself. It's attached to the pressure by multiplication, so I need to divide the pressure. And what I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other. 1.00 atmospheres in the numerator and denominator on the right, so that cancels. Atmosphere is in the numerator and denominator, so that cancels. So I'm left with 30 divided by 1, which is 30. I'm left with milliliters, and that equals volume 2. And volume is in milliliters, so that's good. That means that I solved that correctly with my math. And now I have to do sig figs. Oh, let me slide it back down for sig figs. 75.0, 3 sig figs, trailing 0, decimal important. 0.400, 3 sig figs, trailing 0 with a decimal important. Leading zeros, never important. 1.00, 3 sig figs. So my answer can't be left as 30 because that's 1 sig fig. But if I do 30.0 milliliters equals V2, now I have 1, 2, 3 sig figs, and I'm done.